From movies to TV shows, to even coffee mugs and the clothes on our back. The influence and love of comic books is everywhere. Today I've decided to take a closer look at this cultural influence, as I want to show to you why these characters in these comics mean so much to me and so many others. Growing up, I wasn't really into football, didn't play any instruments, wasn't much of a reader. But there's one thing I did love, images, especially in the form of comics. Despite not being a big reader, I loved to draw. I would doodle all day. This is where my love for images and eventually comics came from. I believe the combination of text and images is one of the greatest ways of enjoying a story. And today, I want to explore why this method of storytelling is one of the best. By our society being so influenced by comics, I always felt like a bit of an outsider for reading Spider-Man and Superman after school. But you should never let your insecurities get to you, because I believe these larger-than-life characters inspire hope and bring joy for millions of kids and adults around the world. Join me as I chat with nerds alike, so we can show to you why we love these silly little characters in these silly little comics. Today I'm interviewing a fellow nerd, my friend Andrew, to gain some insight on his love for comics. Hello my friend.
Hey, how you doing?
May I come in?
Of course.
Andrew, it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me.
I love these posters. Can you tell me a little bit about them?
I've always loved collecting posters. I just like putting all the things that I like up on my wall to make sure that everyone can see it. Pretty much buy comics most weeks just to have a little bit to read. I've been collecting comics for loads of years now. Started with superhero comics, but then I've made my way to manga, and now I do a little bit of a balance between the both of them. So it's always been a part of my life. When I was a lot younger, like 8 or 9, reading like Tintin comics, I'd get them every single year for my birthday and Christmas and just bang those out as quickly as possible. From there I graduated to doing like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man comics, and yeah, I just continued reading comics since. I've always been very into art, like making art, looking at art, and the stories that are in it, they're endearing, they're compelling, and to be honest, I love action, love fight scenes and things. Getting to see them drawn in such great detail and to have them in my hands, I find that really interesting. I was always pushed to be reading things. Like my parents were both big readers, so I was pushed from an early age to read more complicated books. I wasn't really too interested in them at such an age, but I still wanted to read, so I thought comics is a good compromise. They're a great source of entertainment independently, but also it's helped me make friends because I know a lot of other people that like comics, and I've introduced people to comics. They've been very happy about that. I'm currently writing my dissertation on representations of fascism in Attack on Titan and Watchmen. You know, one being a manga, one being a comic book. I read Watchmen for the first time when I was 14 years old, and I hated it because it wasn't about fighting, it was about relationships and politics. But over the years, I've reread it and gained a deeper appreciation for it. One of the things that I think is really important about comics is that there's such a wide range of like levels of maturity to it. I think it's a unique interest. People will wonder, oh, well, why is he so interested in that? There's clearly something to it. And of course, with the movies coming out, I think now is a prime time to be into comics. I think it's quite strange that people haven't latched onto comic books themselves yet as much as the movies that they're based on. But it's also to do with the fact that comic books have such a wide history that to get into comic books at this point would require so much reading. But to be honest, you can just pick up any comic book and have as good a time, if not better, than with the movies that are coming out nowadays. I'm privileged enough that I have a part-time job, I have the disposable income to buy comics. Back when I was younger, I would get like a few volumes for my birthday or Christmas. I'd read them to death to the point where they start to fall apart. But now I'm able to read so much newer stories, and with the growing popularity of manga as well, which from what I know is more popular than Western comics. The discussions surrounding Marvel and DC often are exclusively related to the films and not the comic books themselves, and people are very critical of the films without knowing much of what they're based on. I feel like comics have a lot more to offer people than they actually give them credit for. But also there is still the association with comic books of them being incredibly nerdy. So people who like the films won't be as interested in picking up a comic book for like £15 or something. It's a lot more of an investment, I say.
Thank you very much for having me, Andrew. This was amazing.
Thank you very much for interviewing me.
I'm very glad to have had comics in my life, as I feel like it's developed me as a person throughout the years. Comics have helped me in many different aspects of life. They've helped me explore my creative interests and made me more creative as a person. And it's not just the stories about silly little superheroes that inspire me. It's the stories about struggles, relationships, everything that we experience in the real world. As you can see, there's a lot more to comics than you might think. For some, it's just entertainment, and for others, it's inspiration. I believe that when you have a hobby you really care about and really love, you should cling on to it and never let anyone put you down. I hope that today, as comics have done for me, I've inspired you to keep at your hobbies, no matter what, and maybe even pick up a comic and give it a read. You won't regret it, I promise you that.